Hey everybody, it's Jen here with P40 Ministries, and today we are in Genesis chapter 8, verses 1 through 12. And in previous podcast episodes in Genesis 8, Noah had just built the ark, and the 40 days and 40 nights of rain and water had finally stopped. So now we are in Genesis 8, verses 1, and I'm going to read to verse 12 in the WEB version today. God remembered Noah and all the animals and all the livestock that were with him in the ship. And God made a wind to pass over the earth. The waters subsided. The deep's fountains and the sky's windows were also stopped, and the rain from the sky was restrained. The waters continually receded from the earth. After the end of 150 days, the waters decreased. The ship rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, on Ararat's mountains. The waters receded continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains were visible. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened the window of the ship which he had made, and he sent out a raven. It went back and forth until the waters were dried up from the earth. He himself sent out a dove to see if the waters were abated from the surface of the ground, but the dove found no place to rest her foot, and she returned to the ship to him. For the waters were on the surface of the whole earth. He put out his hand and took her, and brought her into the ship with him. He waited yet another 7 days, and again he sent the dove out of the ship. The dove came back to him at evening, and behold, in her mouth was a freshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from the earth. He waited yet another 7 days, and sent out the dove, and she didn't return to him any more. So in verse 1, Noah is in the ark with all of these animals, and it had just finished raining and pouring for 40 days. And it says here that God remembered Noah and all the animals and all the livestock. And I think in other versions of the Bible, it even says that God kindly remembered Noah. He justly destroyed the earth because it was corrupt, sinful, and depraved. But he kindly remembered Noah because Noah was a righteous man who loved God. And he remembered Noah and all the animals as well that had been in the ark with Noah and his family. And then it says that the deep fountains and the sky's windows were stopped, and also the rain from the sky was restrained. So this verse here is why I believe that the sky's windows and the rain are two different things. And I had mentioned previously about the canopy surrounding the earth that I personally believe fell to the earth and caused a bunch of water. But also the rain, it says here, but also the rain from the sky was restrained. So the rain and the sky's windows in this verse, in verse 2, are mentioned as two different things. So that is why I personally believe that the sky's windows was that canopy that I was talking about previously. You can go back and listen to those episodes if you haven't heard them yet. And then in verse 3, the waters were continually receding from the earth because God caused this big wind to pass over all of the earth. And the waters began to subside. And then on the 7th month, because I remember mentioning to you guys that Noah was, I think, 600 years and 2 months and 17 days old. And then it says on the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ship rested on Ararat's mountains. So this would have been, 150-ish days later. And Ararat's mountains are in Turkey. And also Armenia, the Armenian and Turkey border. And I believe they claim they found the ark, I think back in 2009. And in 2011, they took a film crew over there to go check it out. And I actually don't know what the results of that was. And if anybody has seen that or knows about that, let me know on my Facebook page, P40 Ministries. And send me a message and let me know if you have seen that, and also where I can find it so I can watch it, because it sounds really cool to me. So the waters were continually receding until the 10th month. And then in the 10th month, on the 1st day of the month, the tops of the mountains became visible. So after another 40 days, in verse 6, Noah opens that window that I had talked about previously. There was a little window for ventilation that God had commanded Noah to build. So Noah opens up that window and he releases this raven, but the raven goes back and forth, and it never says whether the raven returned to the ark or not. So I don't know why Noah chose to send out a raven, and there are so many different speculations as to why Noah chose to send out the raven. But for me, I personally just believe that Noah just chose a bird and sent him out. And it doesn't say whether the raven came back or not, but it's implied that the raven did not come back. And a lot of people believe because of the death that had occurred with the Nephilim, that the raven feasted on the bodies. I don't know if I believe that or not. I have no clue. But in the Bible here, it says that he sent out the raven and it went back and forth until the waters were dried up from the earth. So to me, I think just maybe it kept flying. I don't know. But that's what it kind of implies. But if the raven did come back, it doesn't say whether it did or not. And then he sent out a dove after that. And doves are notorious for enjoying a resting place. And they will keep returning to that same spot over and over. So we have a little dove family in my front yard. And every single day, I'm telling you, at around 6:30, these doves come and perch on the wires in front of my house every single day, and then they stare at me through the windows. And they are notorious for having a roost or a nesting spot or something like that. So doves will return. And then it says here, since Noah sent out the dove couldn't find a place for her to rest her foot, so she returned into the ship to him. And Noah knew at that point that the waters were still pretty deep and it was probably not safe for his family and for the animals to go out yet. So then, another 7 days later, he again sends the dove out of the ship. And then the dove came back to him at evening, but she brought him back an olive branch. So this means that the waters were receded enough so that there was olive trees that were being exposed. And Noah knew that the waters were getting lower and lower. And then another 7 days after that, so it's taking, about 2 weeks at this point, he sends out the dove again, and then this time she doesn't return to him at all. And so then that's when Noah knows that it's safe for his family and for the animals to get out of the ark, because the waters are receded enough that it's going to be safe for them to be on the earth again. So this is the beginning of Genesis chapter 8, and join me again on Friday for another podcast episode from Genesis 8, and also join me tomorrow for some more of the Sermon on the Mount. But until then, I'm going to ask everybody to go to my Facebook page, P40 Ministries, and like it. I have an exciting announcement. I am finally getting a podcasting microphone, because if I'm being honest, right now I'm just using my phone and it's really lame and I don't have a lot of capabilities with it, but I'm finally getting like a professional microphone, and hopefully this will take my podcast to the next level. So thank you guys all for your support, and go to my Facebook page, P40 Ministries, and make sure you like it, because I do a lot of updates on that as well. And make sure you share podcast episodes that really touch you and mean something to you. That will not only help me, but it's also helping other people learn more about the Bible and the gospel. And that is what we are called as Christians to do, is to spread the gospel. So make sure to like my Facebook page and also share some podcast episodes. And as usual, I am asking everybody to join me tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Bye, guys.